So I just thought usually I write my story out and I read it, so I thought I'd try to connect with the audience a little more, and since I saw my video last time, and I was looking down the whole time. But I wanted to share some of my experiences with the rodent family. And I live in this apartment, and about 3 years ago I had this huge rodent, mice infestation. And they would, it was like whack-a-mole. I'd see them in the living room, I'd see them in the bedroom, they were right across the floor, and so I thought, well, I've got to take some measures here, and I'm a Buddhist, I don't like killing things, but I thought, well, I've got to set some traps and take care of this. And so now the mice have gotten so smart, they won't set off the traps with just their mouths, with their, just by setting it off by biting on the food. They know how to eat it slowly so that it won't go off. So now they have these platforms. So the mice put their paws up on the platform. And so it just turned into like a killing field. There's one mouse after another, and one night I killed this one mouse, and I didn't quite kill it. I just caught its leg in the trap, and it was sitting there crying all night. I was sitting there listening to this whole night. And so I thought, oh my hell. And so then another time I had these two traps under the sink, and the mice were able to get into a crack under the sink, and they dragged both of the traps down underneath the floor. There was this fake floor underneath the sink, and they crawled under there. And so then I had to call the landlord. He came and pulled everything apart, and we had these two dead mice in there. But all of that experience was nothing compared to another mouse experience I had. I lived in this apartment in Salt Lake. I'm from Salt Lake. And I came home, and the roommate had a note on top of the toaster. He said, "Look inside the toaster." And so I opened up the toaster, and in the bottom of the toaster was a burnt mouse. And what had happened is I pulled the lever down on the toaster, broken the mouse's back. It sat in there and fried and burned up all the toast. And I was eating toast for a while, not knowing. At first it tasted kind of funky, and I hadn't thought about it. But man, I could not eat bread for another week. That toaster was perfectly good, but I had to throw that toaster out. I could not imagine. Finally, I was able to get back to eating bread. And then when I grew up in Salt Lake, we had a creek next to our house, and we used to get these huge Norway rats. I mean, they were the size of a small cat. And they had these big yellow teeth, and they were super scary. And they would be a problem. And what people do is they put out this poison that would thin their blood, and they'd go for water. And so, we'd get them in the house, and we'd get them in the yard, and you could hear them running, in the floorboards underneath the house. And so one day I was getting ready to go on this trip, and this mouse, this rat, a huge rat, it set off this trap. And these rat traps, I don't know if you've ever seen them, but they'll break your finger if you get your finger in there. And so this rat got caught in there. It's the same thing with the mice, and it was only caught one of its legs, so it was going around the room, and I was sitting there chasing it. I'm thinking, what am I going to do? Beat it with a stick or something? I don't know what I'm going to do. And I had to go on this trip, and so I said, oh, well, I'll just deal with it when I got back. But somehow, when I got back, the rat had found somewhere to die, and it had crawled into a hole, and unfortunately, it was a storage room, so I had all this crap in there that I had to go through, and it started getting putrid, the whole room smelled. It was in the middle of the summer, but finally it was, I guess, a good excuse to clean out that room, and I did. But the worst thing that happened in this house was the rat. I had a bathroom, and it had a false ceiling, and so I was in there, and it started getting this really stinky smell, and it was even when I wasn't in there pooping or whatever. But I'm like, something's died, and I'm thinking, something's died up in that ceiling, and I'm just putting it off. Oh, I don't want to do it. That sounds like a pain. And so one day I just thought, well, I got to take care of this. So I've got to do something. So I reached up and I pushed the false ceiling up, and right then the rat came down, this putrid rat, right on top of my head. And man, I was sitting there trying to hold back the puke, and I'm running out the bathroom trying to throw this thing in the garbage can. I run back in and I jump in the shower. But I guess what makes up for it is 2 weeks ago I went out to Kentucky Falls in the Coast Range, and I'd read about them, but I saw mountain beaver. Does anyone know what a mountain beaver is? It exists only in the Northwest. It's actually, they call it a living fossil. It's a forerunner of mice and rats, and it's about this. It has a more primitive hip, but it's about this small, and it's really furry, and they're really cool. So anyway, that's my story. Thank you,